Hey everyone, what's going on? So, week three, just as a recap from last week, looks like everybody, for the most part, turned it in, which is great. Some of you were below the 1,000 word mark, so you will be downgraded for that. However, some of you made, 2,000 words, so thanks for that extra reading, but it will be read and feedback will be provided. So, all right, this week, pretty simple. Next 2 weeks, actually, it's going to be more of a project based. It's why you're going to be on create a persona. So, what is creating a persona? It's actually quite simple. Let me pull this up real quick. So, when you create a persona, what you're kind of doing is like a test group, and you're going to interview people and get as much info as possible. And this includes, honestly, it includes anything and everything. There are requirements for what's coming up, but it will include as much as possible. And so the best thing to do on this, I'm going to be very honest with you, what I do with clients is I kind of ask them personal questions. This would actually involve upwards of like, do you have kids? What kind of kids? Are they boy, girl? Are they in sports? Are they not in sports? What do they like to do? If the client is, I even go as far as what's your favorite color? It does matter because you take that color and then you see what the world is like and you try to merge them as well. So if your client likes green, you may want to use green. Now, if green is not a popular color, you may want to use a dyad or something that has contrast to that. And then so that way it can look like, and then use green somewhere in contrast with your main color. That's a good example. I'm just giving you an example of that. So for this, I will need there. It has been changed a little. You will need to interview two or more people. So I am actually okay with more than 3 people. All right. The interviews could be with anyone, a friend, family member, so on and so forth. And you are to get as much info as possible. Now, I do recommend this. So a lot of us have friends who are polar opposites. A lot of us deal with people who are complete opposites. Do that. Interview the opposites and come up with some stuff. Because the goal with any product, including like a podcast app, is how can you find a middle ground for them both to meet and use your product. So for this, you're any name, age, gender, tagline that describes what they do in real life, experience level with podcasts. So this could be like music, Spotify, the podcast app, YouTube. There's all sorts of podcast stuff out there. So don't just list one. When you ask them these questions, give them a list of what they use because they may actually not think about it at the top of their heads. Okay. So get a list of podcast apps that are out there and go down the list. All right. How they interact with the product or podcast information application through choice or required by their job. How often would they use it? Do they typically use it as a desktop computer, phone, or other device? Just these are all very actually good questions to ask. And then you go further into this. So just kind of a note, this is very similar when we were talking about personas and getting information. This comes down to, left-handed, right-handed when you're developing the app. All that info is needed. We do not care what the info is in this field. We don't. We don't care what their beliefs are. We care about the data because that data is going to help us design properly for the app and it's going to make our client happy or it's going to make our client money. That is our goal. We have to throw away any bias we may have. That all gets thrown out the window. We have to take the data and design around the data. Okay? So for this, deliverables, recording video of the user interview sessions, a copy of the notes taken within the interview. So yes, you can't just have a recording, jot down notes of what each one has said. The notes comes in handy. Here's why. When you just record somebody, like I record people for business purposes, but I still jot down certain notes. The interview can go on for an hour. That's a lot to listen to. Jotting down the notes can be color equal great. It can be client's their color is green, awesome. They want this. Because the interview, they may say green, they'll give you a whole backstory behind it. Going through an hour interview when I can read less than 5 minutes of notes, that's going to be more preferred. A PDF of your persona, 2 persona sketches. We'll cover that a little bit more on Tuesday, along with a journey map and journey map sketches. All right. We'll cover that a little bit and I'll kind of explain what we typically used to do A lot of times now we just go off basic notes and we just move forward in life because time is money and money equals time. But this is where you'd see, like sometimes you'll see it in movies or TV shows, they use like sticky notes and they post it up on the wall. It's like a journey map. And it kind of goes, you just highlight, you take away, and you develop. So we'll cover more on that, but do some research on journey maps, but we will come prepared to learn what a journey map is on Tuesday. All right, so that's pretty much it for this week, and I'm not going to lie, that's pretty much it for next week. So this week, Tuesday, mandatory. Thursday is a work day, okay? So that way you know which days. It is a work day. I will be there in class like I was on Thursday. You can come in, I can help you out, I can give you some tricks and techniques. All right, so this Tuesday now, what we will be covering in class. Tuesday, we will be going over the assignment. I'll answer any questions you have, and we go from there. If the questions keep piling up, I'll take note of it, or if they're very specific, I'll meet with you after class. Now, next up, what we're going to go over on Tuesday is I'm actually going to show you how to use Adobe Podcast. I will bring an example. I'm going to show you how to use it. We're also going to be covering not just Adobe Podcast, but I'm also going to show you their beta where you can have multiple recordings take place at once and help you out. So that is going to be their studio, mic check, enhanced speech. They have all sorts of tools you can use, and we're going to cover and go through that. The beauty about some of these too is that they will actually record, and what's nice about it is that it will also have some dictate to help you out with the notes, okay? So record, edit, and enhance in your browser. So here you create a new project, and we will be covering this as well in class. So to get to this, it is podcast.adobe.com. You'll see enhanced speech in studio. The mic check really is not meant for this because you're not going to be dealing with boom checks. You're not dealing with overhead mics. You're not dealing with any of that kind of nature because you're going to be interviewing with like a phone possibly or headphones or things of that nature. So we're not going to focus on the mic check. What we are going to go over enhanced studio, or we're going to cover enhanced speech and studio. So that way you guys can have nice, good, clean audio, very professional, and it's something just to know for the future take. All right. But that is what we are covering on Tuesday. Thursday, like I said, is a work day. Last but not least, on Tuesday, we will be covering actually 2 weeks in advance. So we're covering week 5 stuff, just going over it so you can prepare for it. The following week, I will give you a heads up on the next announcement. Will most likely Tuesday would be mandatory. I will need to see where you are at on the assignment, and Thursday will probably be another work day. But that's probably about it. So anyway, that's all we're covering. If you have any questions, need any help, just let me know, and we will go from there. All right, take care.